Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to our online session today. It's truly a pleasure to have each of you join us from different parts of the world. Uh, I'm Arash Agajani. I'm a technical architect from Vancouver, Canada. Dija and I leading the Power Platforms Zero to Hero Learning Room, and it's a community. It's a Microsoft Learn community. So I'll be your host for today's exciting session. Actually, I'm thrilled to introduce our special guest, Peter Ruiter. Peter is a Power Platform solution architect at Gemini. He's also a Microsoft MCT and a speaker. So we are incredibly fortunate to have Peter with us today. So first of all, I'm going to introduce Microsoft Learn community. So here, the Microsoft Learn community is a collection of experience offering learners with a variety of ways to connect and engage with other learners and technical experts to increase expertise on the topic that matter most to learn and achieve career goals. So actually, the Power Platform Zero to Hero is a Microsoft learning room, and we have more than 1,500 enthusiasts for Power Platform products, and actually we share our knowledge, experience. We share the article, everything around the career development, career path, certificate, exam, everything around that. So, and currently we are actually we are scheduling some events, online session for this community, and who wants who interested to know more about the Power Platform. So today we have a interesting topic around the Copilot Studio that Peter will kick this off actually, and I will share, the other session for the app for the May and June and July and the upcoming event. So please mark this URL aka.ms/Microsoft Learn Community and bookmark this in your browser. It will be your homepage of to learn everything around the Microsoft product and services. You will find a lot of content, great content there, and actually, it's a great place for you. Also, for the Power Platform Zero to Hero, this is our dedicated URL from the for the Microsoft. So it's ak.ms/Power Platform Zero to Hero. You can join us join to our learning room by registering yourself, and you will join to our Microsoft Teams team channel. So before we begin, a few important notes here. If you have any question during the presentation, feel free to type them in the chat box. We will have a dedicated Q&A session towards at the end. And the next one is the session is being recorded for those who couldn't join us live, and will be available shortly in Power Platform Zero to Hero YouTube channel. So Dija also joined me today, and Dija, if you want to share something and introduce yourself, so it's over to you.
Hi, Arash. Thanks for starting the session. Yes, I'm Nadija. I'm a founder of Pro and also MVP. and Arash and I organizing these sessions going forward, and it's great to have everyone here and we have a great lineup of speakers as well. And thanks for all the speakers for their support as well. I'm from Melbourne, and it's it's 2 a.m. for me.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
so it's I think at some point we'll have some sessions in our time zone as well. Yeah, looking forward to the
Okay,
first session.
okay. Thank you, Dija. Actually, the Power Platform Zero to Hero is a learning room that initiated by Dija. So I joined to this learning room and helping Dija, and we actually work together to leverage this learning room for the enthusiasts. So wonderful. We are all looking forward to gaining valuable insight from you. Peter, without any delay, I will hand it over to you to kick off our first session. So
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for thank you for inviting me to actually give you a small talk about the chatbots of the Copilot Studio, and especially on King's Day.
yeah,
So, with the birthday of the King today,
thank you.
get my orange hat on, but really happy to be here and to add to the knowledge.
Yeah.
So, thanks. Let's kick it off. Today on the program is Building Smarter Bots with Copilot Studio. Let me do a quick intro of myself. As Arash already told, my name is Peter. I'm, depending on the day, the solution architect or the Power Platform lead within Capgemini in the Netherlands. Also the generative AI lead for the digital experience cluster. And I think around 10, 12 years now, also a Microsoft trainer. So I love teaching, I love transferring knowledge. Please connect with me as well through email or LinkedIn if you have any questions later on. I'm always happy to jump on a call. Next to this, I'm obviously, and that's more important, a father of 2 kids and a husband to my beautiful wife Michelle. So that's my personal life, and now on to the Copilot Studio. So Copilot Studio is the new name for Power Virtual Agents. Power Virtual Agents was the previous name. It is a lot more. So it is a new product. It is not the same as it was before, but most people use it as a synonym to Power Virtual Agents. If we talk about Copilot, Microsoft says it's the era of Copilot, right? Copilot, you can't get around the hype. Everything, every channel you put on, every blog post you read is around Copilot. And that's literally the thing. There's a Copilot for every Microsoft Cloud experience. You'll find it in Dynamics, you'll find it in the customer service area, you find it in Power Platform itself, in the model-driven apps, but also in the Canvas apps, also as a developer while building Power Automate stuff, or literally in the Copilot Studio that we're just going to see. But also in GitHub and security and Windows itself. For now, today, we're going to look at Copilot Studio, which is obviously focused on creating Copilots. And we're focusing on the chat part of it, the generative chatbots, the generative AI chatbots. So without further ado, I'm just dropping in and out of the slides. I'm doing most of it just in the browser, so hopefully you can tag along. You can join me in doing demos, or you can try it out later, and just by following the reporting that is also going to be published. Right? If you want to try it out, there's a link called aka.ms try PVA, which is really, really nice. You can get a trial. You can start it off really quickly. There's trial licenses that you can just extend, so you can get it up and running really quickly without having to incur costs for trying it out. So really, really nice. So let's start it off. I'm just pulling my browser in. So if you do, so let me just type it out, right? So if we go to the try PVA, websites, you'll get here. This is the button that you want to choose if you want to start it up, if you want to end up in the same environment as me. This is if you do not even want to add an account or try an account, but you just want to try a demo as the end user. That gets you quickly up and running in no time. This is really nice for a demo, and we'll see that in a little bit. So I obviously signed in already. I put a little demo here. If the demo gods don't work with me, then I have a few things up and ready, but I'm going to build them together with you so you can see all of the steps. And what we're going to do today is literally take you from a zero to hero in Copilot Studio. So we're going to look at the basic building blocks. What is it? How can we do it? And then we're going to make it smarter the further we go, and adding generative AI and adding also plugin actions, which are now in preview and really, really amazing. And that will show you all the differences, and that will make your bot really way smarter than we could make it before. So let's start it off by creating a new Copilot. So the bots are now called Copilots, right? So you hear me say bots, but I should say Copilot. So when I create a new Copilot, I can just name them, and let's make it the zero to hero bot. I can pick a name, or I can pick a name, and I can pick a language. Let's leave it to English. And I'm going to skip this part. I'm going to show you why later, because I'm starting out with a simple bot, but you could add some Gen AI right from the bat. But let's start it off without. And it takes a few seconds to set it up. So I'll just talk over this, and then we can see the first steps. So what it is actually doing is it creates a bot for you in the language that you can do. You can absolutely make it multilingual as well, right? So this is just the base language for your bot, but you can actually add languages later on as well. So what you'll see here is that it kicks off with this little bar here, which is literally your chatbot, right? So you can try it out here. It has some welcome message here. You can just talk to it and see what it does. And if I click it, you saw me clicking the message, it automatically goes to the canvas where we can alter the flow, the logic of the bot. So let's go to the overview and let's go over all of the pages. So this is your start page. Microsoft will absolutely try and get you up to speed with setting up some generative AI, making it smarter off the bat. But I want to get you through all of the steps, so I'm skipping that for now. I'm going straight into the topics. So topics is what we call conversations, right? So topic is just, I want to talk about a specific topic to a bot. And about that topic, the bot can have some questions and can give us some answers, right? So there's a bunch of topics that are already in here. I didn't pick the advanced option where I canceled out all the examples, so I'm getting some nice examples with it as well. And I also got some system conversations here that are part of the bot that start up when I want to sign in or end the conversation, or conversation starts, right? System triggered topics. So let's create a topic, a thing that we want to chat about, which could basically be anything, right? So if I create a topic, I can create a topic right from blank, or I can actually say, hey, I want to create a topic from a description with Copilot. So you immediately see here that the AI is infused in the product in its entirety, and it already helps you with building as well. So not just using AI in the answering, but also in the building part. So let's do that because it really speeds it up, right? So let's create a simple bot saying, hey, I want to create a weather bot, right? I want to talk about the weather. I want a user to be able to ask for the weather report based on a specific location. Right. So if I do this, you'll see that it takes a few seconds and then it tries to create that topic for us. So what it actually does, let me close this pane, it creates a trigger for us with some phrases that will actually trigger this specific topic, right? So you see that you can edit those. It's weather forecast, what's the weather like, will it rain today, etc. Microsoft is really great in that you don't have to match this exactly, right? So everything that falls into that little category, that will trigger it, and you can actually make it more accurate by adding more to those phrases, right? So if I now say something about the weather, this topic will actually trigger, and it will ask us this question. Which location would you like to get the weather report for? It will save that user response, and then it will try and give us something. And you can see that it doesn't do anything, right? It will just give us a string, a message that will show us nothing. It will show us the weather report for location is ... In this topic, you can see that we can do literally everything. I can send messages, I can ask more questions, I can add conditions, if else statements. So really, really nice. And we'll dive into the advanced stuff a little later on. So let's check if this works. So if you edit something, just save it. You can refresh the bot here so it has all of the updates. This is the welcome message of the bot that I can obviously answer or obviously change as well. What is really cool here is that you can set the tracking between topics on, and that means that it will literally follow your chat around through the topics. So even if you switch topics, your canvas will also switch for you, and you can see really well where does that conversation flow to, where does the topic lead to, and alter your questions or your messages there, right? So I can set this to on, and let's talk about the weather. So if I can say now, I want the weather forecast, right? I'm sending it to the bot, and then you can immediately see here that it fell into this with the green check mark, and it did this one. It asked me the question, and it is now actually here. So I can say I'm based in the Netherlands in Amsterdam. Let me say Amsterdam. And you'll see that it now is ended up here, but it's a very dumb bot, right? It can't do anything. It can't fetch me the weather just yet. Right, so the basic building blocks is just adding questions, talking about or adding questions, sending messages, switching topics. All of that stuff is really easy to do. As I said, if I click this one and with the tracking on, you can see that I'm now in the conversation start topic. And here I can also change whatever I want to the welcome message. So, right, so that is really easy. So topic-wise, basic building blocks, we can have topics, we have the conversation, we have the conversation flows. All of that we can easily set up. And after we build the basic steps, we can absolutely publish it as well. Right, so publishing the bot will just save everything, will check all the topics for errors, and then it will ask you, hey, where do you want to publish this to? Right, so I can have a few channels. I can publish it to Teams. I can publish it to Facebook Messenger. I can publish it to my own custom website, or for example, omni-channel in Dynamics, which is also really cool if you want to help your agents there as well, right? So the chatbots are really effective in deflecting some support. So all of the channels, all of the publishing targets that you can do are the Microsoft Copilot, obviously, but also Teams, demo websites, Facebook, Skype, etc. All of those are available as well. And now you can't see, I can't do these because I have to change a few things before I'm able to publish it. But all of those are really nice. The custom demo website is the one that I usually try everything out, or where I let my users test it as well, right? So this is for me to test. If I want to have some external users test it, I can always use the demo. So this is a dumb bot, right? This is obviously not something that is great in the real world, right? The real world needs some complexity, or is more complex. So it's easy to know where a conversation begins and where it ends, right? If I text someone, hey, what's up? A text message gets sent, that is a success. But in reality, the conversation flow is much different, right? The conversation flow is the hard part, is the middle part, right? Because the conversation can flow any direction. You don't necessarily know where the conversation might end up, right? If you talk about the weather, I can easily switch to, oh, and I also got a problem with my printer, which is absolutely not related to the weather, right? So the middle part is hard, and that is where generative AI comes in. So the Gen AI is really really cool. The extra options that we're now getting um, in Copilot Studio is literally game changing. So we have those manual author topics, right? That is the thing that we just saw. But the problem with that is that we have a lot of missed opportunity there. So all of the conversations that we don't have topics for, the bot will simply say, I don't know how to help you with this, right? And that is, well, unfortunate. So I can't ask the bot now something like, hey, how do I add a table in Dataverse, right? It doesn't know that because I haven't got a topic for Dataverse, right? Let's add the Gen AI part of it and extend that bot. So the generative AI is changing the building. You already saw that we can actually use that Gen AI to quickly build up the topics for us, right? Instead of having to do everything manually, we can just get a jump start on creating the topics. But we can also use generative AI in the answering part, and that's really, really powerful. So we can use it to index our knowledge spaces, our knowledge sources. Could be your SharePoint, could be some documents, could also be your website, and use that as your body of knowledge to literally generate answers for you that don't necessarily have a topic, right? So Gen AI in Copilot, we have three different ways. We have it in answering, we have it in acting, and we're going to look at both of those things in a bit. And we have it in building, and that is what we just saw. It helps you literally by building out those topics. So let's make it a little bit more interesting and add some Gen AI to this specific bot. I'm going back to my browser, and I'm going to add some AI. So let's take that Dataverse table as an example. It has nothing to do with weather. If I ask it like, how can I add a table to the Dataverse? Let's see what it says. It says, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know how to help you with that. Can you try rephrasing it? Right? Because it doesn't have a topic. And you can immediately see that it now falls into a fallback topic, that is a system topic, that is literally triggered on unknown intent. I don't know what to do with this question. And then I can, for example, escalate it to an agent, or I can say, hey, I'm sorry, I don't know how to help you with this. Or, and as I'm going to show you now, we can make the bot a little bit smarter by using that Gen AI part. So let's get back to the overview and go to this setup your generative AI bit. And you can see that there's a few options to do that. We can add websites, we can add files, and we can also do the advanced part and extend that to the bot framework, to Azure, to all of that stuff. And we'll touch upon that a little bit later as well. For now, let's just add a website. So for example, let's add learn.microsoft.com. Right? I'm sure that on the learn.microsoft.com website, there must be something about how to add a Dataverse table. Right? So let's process a little bit. And you can see that it added this website to my generative AI. I'm now in this menu item. I could jump there as well. And I can add up to 4 websites to index, right? So it doesn't need to crawl. I mean, Bing did that for us in the beginning. If it's a private endpoint, so a SharePoint source, of course, it needs to index a little bit, right? So it takes a little bit of time for you to be able to surface those results. So don't worry if you don't get it right away. It takes a few minutes. You can also upload documents. Mind that the documents can only be up to 3 MB per file. Oh, let me go back. And that is really important. And it says it right here. It should be printed in red as far as I'm concerned. All of the file contents are going to be available to all of the users. So uploading files here doesn't take any security or permissions into account, right? So only do upload files that are for public, no internal file whatsoever. There's another way to do that properly. Don't do it here, right? But easy things, just add documents there. You can add them in a bunch of different file formats. Really nice and a quick way to add your body of knowledge. Let's see. So now we added it. We added that website. Let's refresh that bot. And let's ask that question again. How do I add a table to the Dataverse? See what it can find right now. And you can see that I no longer fall into the fallback option because I now fall into the conversation boosting topic. By using Gen AI, by adding a website, I got a new topic available to me, and that literally says, hey, I can create generative answers from a few different data sources. And in the answer, you'll see that it found that, and I get detailed steps on how to do it. And Microsoft also references all of the sources that it found that info on. So you can actually check where did it find it and read a little bit more about it. Really cool. The AI part is limited to the body of knowledge that you put in there, right? So now I just added learn.microsoft.com. It's not going to answer questions around, for example, what kind of company is Capgemini, right? Because it doesn't know that. It focuses only and solely on the knowledge sources that you put in there. Right? So that's really nice. You don't want it to actually have an opinion about everything. You want it to only answer stuff that you think it should answer questions about, right? So this is already a lot smarter, right? This is just basic knowledge. This has nothing to do yet with the weather, right? If we want to make it a little bit smarter for our purpose, we were talking about the weather bot, we can also do a few extra things here. So this is really nice. As I said, we can add more data sources here, right? SharePoint, also the OpenAI. That's going to be helpful a little bit later. But for now, let's talk about that weather bot. So making it a little bit smarter on that end. So I'm first going to show you how we can extend that weather topic. Did I not save it? I didn't, I think. No, that's unfortunate, but that doesn't matter. So let's create it once more. I want a user to be able to get the weather forecast. Or a specific location. So let's see if we can actually tie in the weather report for any given location, right? So the thing that is really cool in Microsoft Copilot Studio, and we could already do that in the Power Virtual Agents as well, is that we can now add, we could add a few actions. So I got the location, the question is there, which location would you like to get the weather report for? And I can actually add a little block here, and I can do a call to action. And previously, I could say, hey, I want to create a flow that is literally opening up Power Automate, and I could make a call to the weather service, right? That is the old way of doing it. Still very much allowed and still has its use, but now we have a few more things that are in preview, but really, really helpful. So the Power Platform has over 1,000 connectors. Really cool stuff, right? I can do all sorts of things and there's all sorts of connectors from the community. So I can connect to SAP, I can connect to a Rebrickable if you're a Lego fanatic, but I can also just connect to the MSN weather, right? So if I look at the weather bot, I can say, hey, let's get that current weather. And what it does, it says, hey, I'm going to sign you in. Right? It does that automatically. I can submit it. So it makes a connection for us in the background. And it adds a little connector action in here for us. So really nice stuff. Let's wait a little bit until it's finished spinning. There we go. Topic is saved, so that's good. And it has a few inputs. It has an input for the location and it has an input for the unit. So let's give the input for this action. That should be our location. So that should be the question that we're asking here. What location would you like to get? It saves that as a variable called location, and I want to add that into the input for this one. And you can see that it's right available here, right? So I don't have to search far. I just have one, so that is it. And for the unit, I can obviously ask that too, but I can also just hard code it to a specific value, and I'm going to put it in Celsius, since I'm in Europe, that makes the most sense. And that is going to be sent to MSN Weather, and every connector has an input and also an output. So the output is the current weather, right? And I can actually add that into this little block by using this little X, which is the input variables. And then you can see that I have all sorts of variables from that current weather block. I can dive into the specifics, like what is the source, what is the wind, what is the barometer values, all sorts of stuff. But I'm just going to go to the current weather, right? So let's do that and see what we got. So I'm going to save it. Refresh the bot. Now let's talk about the weather. I want to know the weather forecast. And you can see that it immediately dives to that weather topic, so that's really cool. And I'm now on this question where, well, which location would you like to get the weather forecast for? Well, let's say Amsterdam, right? So Amsterdam. And it sends that information to my connector, and you can see that it does it here. The weather forecast of Amsterdam is, and then I get a whole bunch of gibberish, which is actually a JSON response from the service, and has a bunch of things like country code and offset, etc. So what you'll see here is that this specific variable is actually the whole record, right? It has the whole response body of that connector. I could also say, hey, I want to have, for example, the temperature. Let's see if we have it. Speed. Let's say temperature. Right. The weather forecast for Amsterdam is, and let's just leave it at temperature. So it's a bit weird now. It just says, I think, 10 degrees out here. It's pretty cold. It's not that warm yet. Give me the weather. Let's see if that works as well. And then you can also see that it doesn't need an exact match to the topic starts, right? It automatically finds that. So let's try that again. The Amsterdam. Oh, it just says degrees. So this is the unit that I actually got. You get the gist. So this is actually a topic where we can have a flow, right? We can have a pre-directed flow. It's literally like a marble run track. You put something in on the top, it trickles down to all of the blocks, and eventually I'll get a little bit of output. I have very specific set of connector inputs and of connector outputs, and I can craft a message to the user with all of that data that comes back, right? And every block, every connector that you build has their own set of different inputs and outputs. So obviously, if I choose a block for example, for Rebrickable, which is a Lego API, I get part numbers, I get colors of parts, I get the introduction year of the part, etc. And for the weather, I usually get the temperature and the place and the wind speed and that sort of stuff. So this is already a little bit smarter, right? So now I have my actions, I have extended my topic a little bit, but it's a little bit smarter, but not that much smarter, right? Because what if I want to know the weather in 3 days instead of just having the current weather report? Then I should add a question like, hey, what date do you want? Or, right? So that's the thing that we saw before, right? That's this thing. Literally, the middle part is the hard part. If I want to have the weather report, I could easily say, oh, no, I don't mean today. I actually mean the weather for tomorrow. Or, no, it's not Amsterdam in the Netherlands. It's New Amsterdam. Or, right? It could be anything. And that is where that new Gen AI helps you out. So that Gen AI part, that is what we call the generative actions part, right? That is the middle column that we talked about. And that is where we are going to go to next. So we got plugin actions to make your bot really, really smart. And plugin actions are the latest thing. They're just in preview. They're totally awesome. I'm really excited about it. And they're really promising. And this is going to make your bot absolutely, super smart. So let me save this bot. Well, actually, let's toss the whole weather topic and start over with the proper way we can do it now, right? So tossing the weather topic is actually going to make the bot forget everything about the header, about the weather. So I got the 0 to hero bot. It can still answer all of the questions about Dataverse and everything that is on Microsoft Learn, right? But nothing about weather anymore. So I want to change that. So this is where actions come in. So the actions is literally a topic based on generative AI that can literally be changed into any other topic. Feels a bit weird, right? But what it actually means is that I can literally ask questions anywhere, from any place, from any conversation, just ask it, have this action trigger, and then interpret my question with Gen AI, put the right inputs in there, and then give me the right inputs or the right outputs back. It sounds like magic, and that's how it actually feels. So let's create one together. So if I add an action, it asks me, what kind of action would you like? And you'll immediately see that there's a bunch of them, a bunch of options already out there. I can have any of the connectors that are already in there. As I said, there's over 1,000 now in the Power Platform. But I can also create some custom ones or use skills from the Microsoft Azure Bot Framework, right? Or use flows or even use Dataverse, which is kind of cool if you're into the dynamic space or Power Platform apps. This is where all your data resides. Really, really nice to be able to do stuff with that. For now, let's do the same thing. So I just wanted to show you the difference in using that thing that we just saw, right? The connector that we used in a normal topic, as opposed to the weather inside of an action. So I'm still using that get current weather, but as I said, now it's literally wrapped in magic. It's literally wrapped inside of Gen AI. So it's the same thing. I can see that the action details, it gets a name, it gets a display name, it has a little bit of information, and it also has the option to ask the user before running this action. And I can edit all of this, right? I can just go here and I can absolutely say, I want you to ask it. The thing that this does is really important as well. So as public information goes, talking about the weather, that's just fine. Running it without actually asking the users if it should be running. But for some private information or from private transactions that you might want to do, it's really ask the user, hey, I got this. Is this your intention? Do you actually want to run this or retrieve this information before we display it publicly, right? So for the weather, I'm just going to leave it like this. So we got this. We got the inputs, the same inputs that you saw before, location and the units, and I also got outputs. So all of the outputs that you saw in these variables, I have here as well. It's the same outputs, really nice. If I click the outputs, I can scroll all the way down. Nope, go all the way down. And then I can say, how do I want to display this? And I can say, well, I don't want you to return anything, or I want to create my own message, or even an adaptive card. The adaptive cards are the little cards where you can put buttons on, yes and no, videos, etc. It's really nice as well. But in this case, I'm just gonna let AI craft that message. So you saw me having a little bit of trouble picking the right one out of the response body, out of the JSON file. But the Gen AI should have no problem with that. So I'm just going to leave it as it is and have AI dynamically create that message for me. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to finish it. And as I said, there is no topic about the weather anymore. This is dynamically chained. You can also see that there's no trigger sentence anymore, right? It knows when to start this all on its own. So let me refresh the bot. And obviously, if you try this out, adding a action could also take a little minute, right? So let me try it out. If it doesn't work, we just have to refresh it, or I'm going to skip to the other bot that I already prepared because that can take a little minute. So get me the weather. Let me see if that works. It goes to the unknown intent, right? So it doesn't know anything because now it falls into that trigger, that little fallback thing where it asks Gen AI to look at Microsoft Learn for an answer. And obviously there's no topic around the weather for Gen AI. So you can see that indeed this takes a few seconds for it to actually work. Let me refresh it just one more time. Get me the weather. See if it works, and otherwise I'll switch to the other one. Oh, there we go. Oh, now this is actually a Microsoft Learn thing about it when. Well, that's not what I wanted, but good try anyway. Let me go to this one, which is obviously already provisioned. So as I said, that takes just a minute or two, right? So I set up the same thing. I set up my action. It's the same action, but obviously this already has been saved. I didn't do anything else with it. So let me just get me the weather report for Amsterdam. Needs to wake up. Come on. There we go. And you can see that it actually, it didn't even ask me for the city, right? So I did this. I said, give me the weather report, and I combined it with a city. It didn't even ask me, hey, what city would you like to be in? So it could automatically fill that question, send it to my MSN weather service, and then get me back this. And this answer, it crafted with AI as well. So this is really, really cool. So it can actually handle that middle part of the conversation. But now we also have the option to say, hey, I want the weather report for 4 days from now. And normally it's a little bit faster. And there we go. So it's 4 days from now. It can still, well, it looks a little bit, the weather looks the same. It's still going to be shitty. So that's it's a little different here. So we can actually see that it is a different weather. Really cool. So it knows the context. It knows that I'm still looking for Amsterdam, right? It knows that I'm still in the context of my previous question. It doesn't ask me for a city. So really, really nice. This is really, really cool. I love this. Let's see if we go back, because I'm minding the time. There we go. So Copilot Stack is really about using that Microsoft Copilot Studio, creating those Copilot that Microsoft has, and my own Copilots. As I said, I can absolutely publish them everywhere. I can publish them in my website. I can publish them in stuff like Dynamics, in my own bots. I can use them for deflection. All right, I can tie in my own knowledge sources instead of the weather. I can also literally tie in data from SAP or from my HR system, right? I can literally say, hey, I want you to, for example, put in my PTO request, right? Stuff like that is really easy to do with all of those actions. So there's a big AI orchestration layer that's all in Azure. That's all in the AI layer, the OpenAI layer. And you won't see that here, right? But you can actually extend it if you want to have some more fine-grained controls over that. And this is where it really gets into the advanced stuff. And also the really powerful stuff. You can use your own data, right? You can use your data in the Azure cloud. And above all, it's very secure. So this is what happens if you actually use, for example, SharePoint, right? You can use SharePoint. What it does, if it sends your query off to Copilot, it literally checks in the Microsoft Graph, hey, can I, as this user, pick up this information? I want to search through that information. It goes to that large language model, runs all the prompts, gets all the answers, and then it reverts it back through compliance, through purview for some post-processing. This is what we call grounding, to actually make sure that all of that data that should remain private or should not be accessible or should not contain specific wordings or specific terms is really not exposed at all. So keeping your data safe is prior number one, right? That's really, really helpful. And that's all inside the product already. So this is really cool. And this is how we make it a lot smarter. So let me go back. And let's dive into some questions. I think.
Thank you, Peter. It was actually great. I really enjoyed the topic and the walkthrough demo. How to actually, it's a step by step improving the Copilot and to be smarter. So it was great. Thank you so much. So I have two questions here. I'm going to show you the question, Olaf. The question is, how easy or difficult is it to use a custom domain instead of a generic domain like weather?
Yes, so a custom domain, I assume that we're talking about a knowledge domain, right? So any domain name that we could put in, that's just like learn.microsoft.com. So I'm assuming that OLAP means if we have another domain in the knowledge part. So as we already saw before, right? Yeah, perfect. I can still switch to a screen. I can actually create all of those actions, and I can say, hey, I want to, for example, use stuff from my own data sources. I want to run a flow from Copilot. I want to search through Dynamics. All of that stuff is really easy to integrate, but I can also pull all of that information from an endpoint, so from any API. So as long as that body of knowledge has an API or is exposed through a connector in any way, we can also tie it into an action here.
Okay, thank you. So the next question here is from the Ahmed. How about getting customer responses from any social media platform?
Yeah, that's
Is
a
it
really good
possible
question.
actually? Yeah.
So getting some answers from a social media platform is a little tricky, right? So it depends on the questions that you obviously want to ask. But if you look at the connectors, right, I can literally, oh, I want to say Twitter, but I think it's now under X. Can I find Twitter still? Is that good experiment? No. But let's say Facebook, for example. So there's a few actions which have nothing to do with the actual answering using information from Facebook. So if you want to do that, there's a bunch of APIs on Facebook that you can leverage to actually do that, and just fire your question through their API. So that's a little bit of a step up, um, but I could, right? I created a few options like how many visitors do I have on my website, just by using the Google Analytics stuff, right? So I can just leverage the Google Analytics API, get the answers back, and I can talk in natural language through my own chatbot and have that as an answer. So that's really good. So it takes a few more steps, but yeah, easily doable. And then in real time project, have we started using the Gen AI and Power Platform? Um, I don't necessarily know what this question is about, but I'm assuming if I use it in an actual project, if we have at Capgemini use it in a project already, yeah, we use this on a day-to-day basis. So if I'm focused on the dynamics part, on the BizApps part, where we obviously have a lot of client contact centers with a lot of chatbot, we do a lot of deflection, and we use that Gen AI to actually index all of the knowledge sources, all of the knowledge bases that live in Dynamics, and use that to answer questions to the user before it actually escalates to an agent, right? So it really helps in that self-service part as well. So yeah, we use it a lot in actual projects. And to be fully transparent, Gen AI is a question or is a section of AI that most companies are a little bit well scared of, right? So we're just dipping our toes into the Gen AI part. We're just seeing in Europe we have the Gen AI Act, the Cloud Act, the Gen AI Act on how to use it and how to not use it. Everyone is still trying to find out where are the lines, or are they a little bit blurry. As far as I'm concerned, on this part, it's not blurry at all, and we can absolutely use it. And we can already see that in the Netherlands, for example, with a lot of government organizations as well, right? So it's really, really powerful. It's really, really great to use.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. It was the last question here from Amit. So I was muted actually. So yeah, thank you so much. Hope we have you again in our online session in upcoming months with another great topic
Yeah.
on the Power Platform. So we would like to learn more about the technology, the Power Platform, and also some real project if you have, because I know you are busy with a lot of project in the Capgemini, so it would be
Yeah.
great for us.
No,
Yeah,
I would
thank
love to show you some real world results as well, right?
you.
Because that is actually what we're seeing. We have a lot of clients, for example, that use the Gen AI part in BizApps, and we can actually see a 50% performance increase, which is insane. It's really amazing. The results are really great.
Yeah, I know.
So I'd love to come back and talk about that.
Okay, thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to join us today. Have a great weekend. See you in the next session next week. Bye. Thank you. Bye.